In the last video of Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, we are going to do some extra. So first is about the author, E.B. White. 1899, born 11 July in Mount Vernon, New York, USA. 1921, graduated from Cornell University. 1922, he became a reporter for the Seattle Times newspaper. 1927, is appointed a contributing editor to the New Yorker magazine where he met his wife, Catherine. 1945, Stuart Little published. 1952, Charlotte's Web published. 1959, co-authored The Animals of Style, a book for writers. 1970, The Trumpet of the Swan, published. 1971, awarded in the National Medal for Literature. 1985, died at home in Maine, USA on 1st of October. Interesting facts. E.B. White was the youngest of his 6 children. His father was a piano manufacturer. He never liked his name, Melvin, and used his college nickname Andy for the rest of his life. About the illustrator, Garth Williams. Did you like the pictures in Charlotte's Web? Garth Williams' illustrations haven't changed since the very first edition of Charlotte's Web was published in 1952. He also illustrated Stuart Little by E.B. White, The Little House on the Prairie series by Laura Ingalls Wilder, and many other children's classics. Look closely at the drawings and you'll see that they are very detailed with lots of lines and shading to create texture, action, and emotion. Interesting facts. As well as his work as an illustrator, Garth Williams was also a prize-winning sculptor. Where did this story come from? E.B. White lived on a farm, and on that farm there was a barn. The animals that lived inside it inspired many of the characters in his stories. One day he spotted a spider spinning in an egg sack, and this is what he said. I had been watching a big gray spider at her work and was impressed by how clever she was at weaving. Gradually, I worked the spider into the story that you know, a story of friendship and salvation in a farm. Guess who? A. When he was 5 years old, he was big enough to sell, so Mr. Arable said he would have to be sold. This is Wilbur. B. She was about the size of a gumdrop. She had 8 legs, and she was waving out of them at Wilbur in friendly greeting. This is Charlotte. C. I prefer to spend my time eating, gnawing, spying, and hiding. I am a glutton, but not a merrymaker. Templeton. D. Her eyes were red from crying. As she approached her chair, the carton wobbled and there was a scratching noise. It's Fern. These are also the answers. Words, glorious words. As if you don't know any words, if you're not an English speaker, then here are some explanations. Lots of words have several different meanings. Here are a few you will find in this Puffin book. Use a dictionary or look them up online to find out the definitions. Humble, being modest, not thinking of yourself is very important. Українською це буде скромний. Radiant, shining and glowing, типу сяючий і блискучий. Terrific, brilliant, надзвичайний, чудовий. Sedentary, someone or something that spends most of the time sitting still. Сидячий. Spinneret, an organ the spiders and silkworms used to make the threads. Це типу органу павуків, який виробляє
павутин.
Так, павутин. And buttermilk, the liquid left after the butter has been churned. Це сироватка після сиру. Did you know all 3 of E.B. White's children's books have been made into movies starring famous Hollywood actors? In 2010, 42 of the original Garth Williams illustrations for Charlotte's Web were put up for sale at New York Auction and fetched a combined total of £487,927. There are around 40,000 different species of spider. Charlotte says, when I say salutations, it's just my fancy ways of saying hello. Puffin rating tip. Change your scenery. Go and see something you've never seen before. And this is the quiz. Thinking caps on. Let's hear how much you can remember Answers are at the bottom of the opposite page. No peeking. 1. What does the E stand for in E.B. White? A. Edward. B. Eric. C. Alvin. D. Ernest. 2. How many eggs are in Charlotte's egg sack? A. 514. B. 2. C. 34. D. 115. 3. Who goes in the Ferris wheel with Farron? A. Chris Miggleton. B. Jeremy Frump. C. Michael Borrow. D. Henry Fussy. 4. Which of these words does Charlotte not write on her web? A. Terrific. B. Humble. C. Radiant. D. Dazzling. 5. What do the Tucumans wash Wilbur with before the fair? A. Soap and water. B. Buttermilk. C. Vinegar. D. Yogurt. Make and do. Make your own word of the day web. Charlotte sends Templeton out to find new words for her to learn and weave into her web. Make a word of the day web and find out a new word every day. You will need a sheet of paper, a pen or pencil, post-it notes. First, you got to draw your web. Make a cross or some white paper. Use a ruler to make both lines the same length. 2. Draw 3 lines through the center, dividing the paper up from 4 to 10 sections. Make sure they're smaller than the cross you made before. 3. Start connecting the lines with an inverted X. When you completed the first row, you go round again and again until you filled the whole web. 4. Once you reach the end of the web and elongate the diagonal lines, this will make it look like it's got more supports. 5. Now stick a book of post-it notes in the middle. Each day find a new word, write it down and stick it on. You could even cut out the words so they look like flies and stick them around the web so you can keep them up for longer. And don't forget to make a spider to go in your web too. In this year, 1952, Fact Pack. What else was happening in the world when this Puffin book was published? Queen Elizabeth II succeeds King George VI to the British throne. The first mechanical heart is used in a patient in the USA. The Great Smog descends on London. Smog is a deadly mixture of thick fog and smoke from homes and factories. The smog brings the city to a standstill to 4 days. Food rationing, which had been introduced in Britain during World War II to share food fairly, it's still in place. From the archive. There's a letter written many years ago by E.B. White to all his fans. Dear reader, I receive many letters from children and I can't answer them all. There wouldn't be enough time in a day. That is why I'm sending you this printed reply to your letter. I'll try to answer some of the questions they are commonly asked. Where did I get the idea for Stuart Little and for Charlotte's Web? Well, many years ago I went to bed one night in a railway sleeping car, and during the night I dreamed about a tiny boy who was rather like a mouse. That's how the story of Stuart Little got started. As for Charlotte's Web, I like animals, and my barn is a very pleasant place to be, at all hours. One day when I was on my way to feed the pig, I began feeling sorry for the pig because like most pigs, he was doomed to die. This made me sad, so I started thinking of ways to save a pig's life. I had been watching Very Big Great Spider at her work and I was impressed by how clever she was at weaving. Gradually, I worked the spider into the story that you know, a story of friendship and salvation on a farm. 3 years after I started writing it, it was published. I don't know how or when the idea for the trumpet of the swan occurred to me. I guess I must have wondered what it would be like to be a trumpet or swan and not be able to make a noise. Sometimes I ask how old I was when I started to write and what made me want to write. I started early, as soon as I could spell. In fact, I can remember any time in my life when I wasn't busy writing. I don't know what caused me to do it or why I was enjoying it, but I think children often find pleasure and satisfaction in trying to get their thoughts down on paper, even in words of pictures. As I grew older, I found that writing can be a way of earning a living. Are my stories true, you ask? No, they are imaginary tales containing fantastic characters and events. In real life, a family doesn't have a child who looks like a mouse. In real life, a spider doesn't spit words in her web. In real life, a swan doesn't blow a trumpet. But real life is only one kind of life. There is also the life of imagination. And although my stories are imaginary, I like to think that there is some truth in them too. Truth about the way people and animals feel and think and act. Thank you all for your wonderful letters. I love to get them even though I cannot answer each one personally. Yours sincerely, E.B. White. So I really want to thank Kimberlie who bought me this book and sent me it. Thank you also for supporting Ukraine. And I also want to thank everybody who chose this book as the favorite one or has some connection with it. And I am giving it virtually now, but in September I will give this book to my teacher, Pani Natalia, who teaches us friendship, sharing, caring, and also English. So I'm sure that this book will help her students learn English and more about this amazing story.